Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, a question every American should be asking. Why are powerful Democrats still pretending we do not know the motive behind the White House Correspondents Dinner shooting when reports say the suspect left behind a manifesto targeting Trump officials? Barack Obama put out a statement saying, "We do not yet know why this happened," and that claim is now exploding across conservative media because if the motive was written down, spelled out, and tied to anti-Trump hatred, then this is not confusion, it's narrative management. And once you see how the old guard is trying to frame the attack, you just can't unsee it. Now, this matters far beyond one statement from a former president. If a clear political motive can be blurred, softened, or buried when the targets are Trump, his supporters, or people serving in the administration, then every conservative in this country has reason to be alarmed. It tells viewers at home that the rules are different depending on who gets threatened. It tells families, churchgoers, campaign volunteers, and staffers that attacks from the left may be treated like weather, unfortunate, random, impossible to explain, rather than what they exactly are. Politically, the stakes are massive. President Trump is leading a second term built on law and order and American strength. Republicans control Congress. The old Obama crowd and their media allies know the public is tired of demonization, tired of excuses, and tired of hearing Trump called a dictator one minute and then being told anti-Trump violence has no obvious motive the next. This is about honesty. It's about accountability and whether the country is allowed to name what is right in front of it. Well, before we go further, let me take a quick moment to tell you something personal, because strength matters in moments like this. You see, for years, my wife battled chronic pain and anxiety from her diagnosis, endless doctor visits, treatments that didn't help. Watching her struggle daily broke my heart. Then Jonathan Otto introduced red light therapy. Her pain vanished, anxiety lifted, she's sleeping soundly, full of energy and life again. My recovery and vitality, better than guys half my age. Truly life-changing for us. That's why I'm so grateful for red light therapy. It's backed by NASA research, FDA cleared, and studies show rapid pain relief, better sleep, improved circulation, and support for recovery right at home. If you want to check it out, go to myredlight.com. Use code NNN25 for 25% off individual items, or NNN30 for 30% off bundles. Let's get back to the story, because what happened next made Obama's statement even harder to defend. See, the key point here is not partisan spin. It's whether Americans are being asked to ignore documented intent. The New York Post highlighted reporting that the suspect had anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric, allegedly left a manifesto, and wanted to target Trump administration figures. And that is why Sean Spicer and others erupted. Their point was simple. You cannot spend years calling Trump Hitler, calling him a threat to democracy, and then act mystified when someone soaked in that language turns violent. Bataya Ungar-Sargon writes, the New York Times and President Obama are pretending the gunman didn't leave a manifesto because the manifesto is indistinguishable from how they talk about Trump. Political violence is not equally distributed. The bullets are only flying in one direction, and it's left to right. Couldn't have said it better myself. Here she is.
Now, as you're seeing the New York Times, President Obama acting like we don't know what motivated the shooter. The president literally tweeting, we don't know yet what motivated the shooter, 6 hours after his manifesto was made public, in which he literally explained why he did it. He did it because he hates Donald Trump. And the thing about his manifesto, Natasha, is that it is indistinguishable from the rhetoric you routinely hear on the left from the president's opposition. He called him a rapist, a pedophile, and a traitor, which you can turn on CNN or MSNBC any hour of any day and hear them talking about the president that way. President Obama's, the Obama bros, his staffers who now have this podcast, they had Hassan Piker on 2 weeks ago. Hassan Piker, who famously last week in the New York Times was praising and justifying political violence, who said that he would vote for Hamas over Israel, who has no problem calling for political violence, who's cozy with AOC, cozy with Zoran Mamdani, cozy with Ro Khanna. The elites on the left have a political violence problem. We know that 25% of Americans, 25% who call themselves very liberal, think political violence is justified, compared to just 3% of Americans who call themselves very conservative. When people say that this is a problem on both sides, that is just false. The bullets are only going in one direction, and it's from left to right, and it is being sanctioned and justified by the upper echelons of the Democratic Party and the liberal media, and it has got to stop.
It has to stop. But will it stop is the real question. So here's Obama's own statement. Although we don't yet have the details about the motives behind last night's shooting at the White House Correspondents Dinner, it's incumbent upon all us to reject the idea that violence has any place in our democracy. It's also a sobering reminder of the courage and sacrifice that U.S. Secret Service agents show every day. I'm grateful to them and thankful the agent who was shot is going to be okay. So Obama's pushing the line that the motive isn't clear. Sean Spicer, the former White House press secretary under President Trump, responding in his own right.
What pissed me off about Barack Obama's comments were like the sanctimonious nature so many times of getting preached at as a conservative, like you guys need to do this. And to start a statement by saying, while we don't know the motive, the guy wrote a manifesto. You couldn't, this isn't, trying to read the tea leaves. They're saying, okay, on his LinkedIn page, he uses pronouns and making a leap to judgment, which we probably could have based on his political donations anyway. But he left literally a manifesto as to his cause. Like there's nothing clearer than that. It's an insult to put it into people's face, to say you guys called Trump a Hitler, a Nazi. You said he was a threat to democracy. And now you're saying, gosh, we have no idea what this guy was doing. It really is insulting. And when you've been on the side of it, when you've been chased out of stores, when you've had your family attacked, to sort of have these other people wave at you and say, oh, this is everybody's deal. Like, no, there's a reason that Trump has been, an attempt assassination has happened 3 times.
Yeah, the reason is clear. It's the rhetoric. He calls Obama's wording an insult and says conservatives are tired of being lectured while the left gets a pass. New York Post laying out the facts on the shooter's anti-Trump manifesto. Ex-President Barack Obama claims we don't know the gunman's motives despite raving anti-Trump manifesto.
About this news that we heard from the White House about Cole Allen, the suspected shooter, and his motive. I'm being told that he had a manifesto saying he wanted to target Trump administration officials. He had a lot of anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric on his social media accounts and left a manifesto in his hotel room that his brother had notified New London police about prior to this incident. I know Secret Service agents have been talking to his family members, his sister, at their residence, and said that this individual apparently attended a No Kings protest in California at some point, and that there was some concern that he might carry something out like this. What is your reaction to being the target of so much violence and hearing these new details just as they're breaking?
Well, I heard about the London situation, and I wish they would have told us about it a little bit, but it is what it is. We had a great group of people there last night. We had both inside, in terms of people, the audience, and also because they were all, they were strong, relatively speaking, compared to what the potential threat was. And the Secret Service and all law enforcement I thought they were outstanding. You can always, they can nitpick and everything else, but they were outstanding. They stopped them cold. And there was no games being played, that I can tell you. And you just look at them, these were strong, solid people who've got to get paid. This is a group that is not being paid. If you think about it, the Democrats are holding up their pay, and I think maybe they'll loosen up a little bit now because I thought great talent was displayed last night. Bravery, but talent. He came in running like he was an NFL running back. Frankly, he was very fast, and they just stopped him cold. And there was no question. He never even came close to getting by the doors or getting through the doors. And if he did, there were so many people in there too, also security. And you have to go through a lot of layers. They did really a good job. I was very satisfied with it.
The words of the President of the United States following the attack. And now we have Maria Bartiromo unleashing on the, quote, liar Barack Hussein Obama for claiming we don't know the motive of the shooter.
That's fine, but I want to get back to what Obama said, because specifically what Obama tweeted out is basically a calling card for his followers to pick up where he left off. He knows exactly what he's saying. He tweets out that we don't have a motive. We absolutely have a motive. There was a manifesto left, and the manifesto was very clear that this maniac wanted to either kill President Trump or his people, his supporters, or his administration people, Mahek. So we absolutely have a motive, but you know why Obama wrote that, in my humble opinion, is because they are now scared that all of these attacks on President Trump will bring out sympathy voters, that people will say enough is enough. Stop trying to take down President Trump, and they'll go and they'll vote in the midterms for Republicans. That's what this is about. This is all politics. Obama coming out and saying there's no motive. He knows darn well there's a motive, Mahek, but he does not want Republicans to come out in the midterms and give any sympathy to President Trump now that he's been targeted 3 times.
100%, Maria. Look, Barack is a liar and a fraud. And now millions of Americans are realizing, the sympathetic voters, the people who didn't know what they were going to do this midterm, that the left is aggressive. They have spent 10 years calling Trump fascist, Hitler, everything under the sun. They have allowed for political violence. And now the leader of their party is showing us exactly who they are. They are not for us. They're just using this for politics, and it's despicable.
Despicable indeed. So, this is the moment. The real fight is no longer just about the shooter. It's about who gets to define reality. Obama's statement tried to place a fog over motive at the exact moment evidence was pointing in a very specific direction. Sean Spicer called it insulting. Maria Bartiromo went further, saying the motive was obvious and that Democrats fear public sympathy for President Trump and Republicans heading into the midterms. Bataya Ungar-Sargon delivered the bluntest takeaway of all. The media class cannot admit what this manifesto says because it sounds too much like their own anti-Trump rhetoric. That's the truth. The establishment does not want spoken plainly. The bullets are not coming from nowhere. They're being fueled by years of reckless demonization. So Americans do not feed, or we do not need, another lecture from the same elite voices that spent years smearing Donald Trump and everyone around him. What we need is clarity. We need honesty, and we need the media and the political class to stop pretending anti-Trump violence is some unsolvable mystery when a motive appears to have been laid out in black and white. President Trump has stood tall through lies, lawfare, and violence, and the America First movement is not backing down. So here's my question for you. Do you believe Obama knew exactly what he was doing when he said we don't know the motive? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. If you want to bypass the algorithm suppression and get alerts YouTube never sends, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's the number on the screen for direct messages to your phone from me. And share this report everywhere. Subscribe if you have not already, and check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Stay bold, stay informed, and keep fighting for the truth.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.